If you are going through separation or divorce, if you are a woman, if you're going through a major life transition, or if you are rebuilding your life from scratch, say hi in the comments and I will interact and ask you about your situation. So many of our life areas is affected by this separation and divorce that we haven't even expected. Having a focused approach can really be the key to making your next chapter fundamentally better. You know what? We're going to survive this. We're going to get to the other side. But for me, it took more than 2 years and many, many months of being overwhelmed. And honestly, so many decisions that I had to go through. And I think the hardest thing after separation is that overwhelm from decision fatigue. I am working with women who are going through this exact process that can be super overwhelming. The worst part about it is that you feel isolated and there is no one to help you guide you to the next chapter of your life. For me, after months of trying to figure it all out, it was mainly a lot of different decision making. I really never expected how hard it is to make all these decisions by myself after years of being in a long-term relationship. That was a decade for me. Suddenly having to go back to making all these decisions by myself was, I think, the toughest part for me. And I spent months and months of spreading myself across all the areas of my life because everything was affected. I recently read the book, The One Thing, by Gary Keller. His whole theory about focusing on one thing at a time as a way to get the most result and get to your bigger goals. When you're going through separation and divorce, then this comes really as an important part of it because a lot of times we are spread too thin. In his book, The One Thing, talks about the Pareto principle. 20% of your input creates 80% of your output. He says that if you apply this principle multiple times, if you find the 20% and then the 20% of that and then the 20% of that, you end up finding that one thing. And that one thing is the thing that if you do it right now, then everything else becomes easy or unnecessary. I love this approach because it's a really good way to put a plan together. And the problem with that, though, it's good in theory. The hardest part of that would be to find that one thing. How do you find out what is that one thing? And in his book, The One Thing, Keller is giving some questions to help you. But honestly, I think that this is the trickiest part because even with his questions, it doesn't come up pretty easily, especially for your own life, your own struggles and challenges. How do you figure out what is one thing that you can do that makes everything else easier or irrelevant? And for me, this is really the question that I want to help people with. So what I help women do is to make that bridge. If you have this kind of vague idea in mind, you know that you're trying to get to your next chapter and you have a feeling how you want it to look like, but you have no idea what exactly that goal is, what's your purpose, and what's your one thing that you need to do today, this week, this month, this year, or into the future that will get you to that purpose. And it's really hard to strategize and articulate those things by yourself on your own life, especially when you're going through this hard time of your life, when you are emotionally imbalanced, you're going through the biggest breakup, you are facing all the turmoil of going through a breakup. So what would you say is that one thing that you did that got you to that place? Hard question to answer because there's not just one thing, but it's a continuous of one thing after another. But it's really hard for us to figure out what to do and what order to do these things to get us to that goal.